This is a list of my top 10 tips on how to handle food when you've got kids in Disney World. Number 1, hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. I know it's not strictly kid specific, but everything will go so much smoother if everybody stays hydrated. Being dehydrated can sneak up on you. It's hot, it's sunny. Encourage people to take a nice drink of cool water every now and then. The water in the parks does not taste great. I would suggest that if you can, get a case of water from outside of Disney and use that, because it will taste better and you'll save money if it's outside of Disney. The other option is many of the quick service, probably actually all the quick service, I think, will have free cups of water if you go in and ask. It used to be that you would go up to the mobile order sections and ask for water, and they would usually have some already in cups off to the side that you could just take a couple. But many of them have now switched to have a centralized cooler where you can just fill up a cup there. I think they do discourage you from filling up your own containers just because of germs and everything else. They want to also make sure everybody gets a chance to get some water, but you can always grab 2 cups and use that. I've done that in the past, so I don't have to worry about filling up a water bottle, and it's a lot cheaper. Tip number 2, mobile order is your friend. You can put in a mobile order for your food for your family to be picked up when you're ready to go get it. However, and this is a mistake I made, don't assume you're going to put in the order and have it ready right away. If you're waiting until the times when you typically would start to get hungry, let's say it's getting close to lunchtime, and you go to put in a mobile order, you might have people that are hungry now, and the mobile order windows won't be for a little while. Now, sometimes that doesn't matter. I think one time we put in a mobile order while we were on It's a Small World, and by the time we were off It's a Small World, it was just about time for our mobile order window. We walked to where we were picking it up from, which was a little bit further of a walk away. So by the time we were there, we were inside the mobile order window. It wasn't a big deal. So I would just say, keep an eye on the clock. Know your family's routine on that one. And if you know that you typically eat around a certain time, you think your kiddos are going to be hungry at a certain time, start putting that order in a little bit early. I definitely made that mistake, and we put in the order a little bit late, and we had grumpy kids and frazzled adults because everybody was a little unhappy because everybody was hungry, and it was a little while before our food was going to be ready. Tip number 3, if you're going in a larger group, try to be responsible just for your family. You know your kids, you know their eating habits, you know what they're going to want, and getting everyone's order can take time. So it might be better for you to put in your order for your immediate family, but this way you're set, you're done, you've got everything, and you've got it submitted. You don't have to wait until everybody decides what they want to submit your order and get it out there and get it started. Tip number 4, here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Get out of the sun, get out of the heat, get off your feet. I would suggest that you fit in at some point, probably midday, or if you want to try to avoid the rush of the times for crowds going to the restaurants, that's totally fine. Schedule it for however it's going to fit best. Try to take a break out of the sun if you can. Get into a restaurant with air conditioning. If you don't think your kids are going to do well at a table service, try to find some sort of a spot that's got a seating area so that you can get out, get it shaded, get a little air conditioning, get something cool to drink, and just get off your feet for a moment. Try to take your time if you can. That's the nice thing about the table service. It does sort of build in a little bit of time because everything takes time for the whole process to go through and for your food to come and the check to come and everything else. So sometimes that's good because it draws it out a little bit. I know you don't want to waste your park day time sitting down, but there are benefits to getting stuck inside in the air conditioning with some food and some cool drinks and just not having the rush of the park going on around you at the moment. On our second trip to Disney, we did Space 220, and it went really well. The boys sat, and they were each taking turns looking at all the fun stuff flying past the windows. I actually don't think they really ate very much, but they were happy enough to sit and kind of watch everything while my wife and I had our lunch. And so it was just nice to get in the cool. It was a nice theme. So it worked out well, a nice pause for everybody before we left. And we actually still did go from there back to our resort to relax for a little bit because we wanted to get out of the park, out of the rush, and give our youngest a chance to nap, which he mostly napped in the stroller, but just a chance to get in, get back to the room, lay down in the quiet, and just relax for a little bit before we went back out in the afternoon. The number of table service meals is going to vary for each family. You kind of have to just try it out and see. 1 to 2 is probably good. 3 is probably too much. Tip number 5 goes along with the table service meals. Book plenty of reservations for dining early when you can, when the window opens. You can cancel most of your dining reservations with no fee as long as it's more than 2 hours before when that reservation is going to happen. One of the things that worked the best, our second trip, was my wife booked multiple reservations at different times for different restaurants, and then we could cancel as we were going. The only thing you have to watch out for is there are some restaurants that will charge you a full price if you don't cancel early enough. So you'll want to check the cancellation policy for each of the restaurants that you're going to be booking and make sure that you know if it's when you can just cancel 2 hours out or if you need to cancel it multiple days in advance. I know off the top of my head, it's Cinderella's Royal Table and the Hoop-de-Doo Review. I know those, I think, are multiple days out that you have to cancel beforehand or you get hit with the full cost of the show and the food. I would just watch out and check the cancellation policy when you're booking and make sure you understand what the policy is for that reservation you're making. Also, with booking your reservations, you probably want to time your character meals carefully. When we always have this problem when we go to book Crystal Palace at the Magic Kingdom, because Winnie the Pooh is a favorite for my kids. And our problem is always the time for the breakfast is typically later than our boys are hungry. So if we try to have them wait for breakfast, that's not going to go over very well. So we usually have snacks in the room ready so that they can have a little bit of something in the morning, so they'll be a little bit settled and be okay until we get to the breakfast, and then they can have breakfast. When you're timing out your character meals or really anything, you want to just take travel time into account and whether or not it's going to be something, especially for the breakfasts, if getting from where you are, waking up in the morning, to your breakfast is going to be too much time in between, that you're going to be getting a lot of people that are hungry and don't want to hear that we're going to be having breakfast soon. Maybe have a little bit of a snack for them, or just see if is it just a matter of scheduling it for a better time? Like if your kids usually aren't hungry first thing, maybe you bump that breakfast out a little bit. Or if they're hungry right when they get up, then maybe book it out a little bit and give them a little bit of a snack first. So you just have to schedule it around what works best for you, but keep that in mind when you go to book the character meal. One of the biggest mistakes we made, and it was rough on everybody, was we had scheduled a character meal at the Garden Grill in Epcot. And we were trying to stay just in Epcot on one day. And we had a family member who wanted to eat in Italy that night. So we scheduled our lunch a little early, figuring we would have a snack in between, and we scheduled dinner a little bit later, thinking that everything would be spaced out nicely. Well, the problem was we finished our lunch, we went on to do some activities in Epcot, and there's a lot of walking, a lot of heat, especially walking around the countries. You're kind of in an open area, and we didn't plan for it very well. And by the time we were getting close to our dinner reservation, it was getting late because we were hoping the boys would take a nap in the stroller, and they didn't. And so they fell asleep 5 minutes before our dinner reservation. So we had to wake them up to go inside. Everybody was grumpy. Nobody was hungry. And we ended up leaving early. I think if I had that to do again, I would have split those meals up on different days, or I would have told the rest of the family, stay in the park. We're going back for a nap or at least a sit down back in the room, we'll come back and meet you for dinner later. We made the mistake and stayed and tried to push it, and that did not work. It was a rough day on everybody. Tip number 6, speaking of characters, you may want to see what options you have for getting your kids ready to be able to meet large characters. If your kids are already watching Disney shows, then they may see things like Winnie the Pooh being pretty small compared to Christopher Robin. And they might be a little bit scared when Pooh is a fairly large bear who comes walking up to your table. So if you have any other opportunities to meet characters of some kind, for us, we were lucky enough that the Easter Bunny was going to be at a friend's workplace. So we went and met the Easter Bunny, and the Easter Bunny was tall. He was very tall. And so that kind of got them a little bit used to being in the area of a character that was a very big character and not like a little bunny that they see outside. It was a big bunny. So that when they went to the... Oh, my hair is coming right down into my face, huh? I don't know how long that's been happening. We took pictures of them meeting characters so that for our second trip, we were able to also kind of remind them. It's like, now remember, when we go and meet these characters, they're big. And we showed them pictures of the other times we met them, and they were like as tall as I was. They were bigger than they were. And so it kind of reminded them, it's like, okay, yes, Winnie the Pooh's big. Donald Duck is big. Mickey Mouse is big. We're going to be seeing big people. Goofy is very tall. So it kind of helps them remember that these characters aren't going to be small like them. They're going to be big and that they shouldn't be scared of them. Tip number 7, there's food everywhere. So if you need a snack in between meals, you were planning a lunch at one point and a dinner at another, and the kids are hungry, there's food someplace. You should be able to find something. If you want, you probably can even talk to a cast member who's out. I did that when we were in Epcot one time, and it was hot. And a couple family members were going to get a snack someplace, I think. And we decided we were going to move on and start to head towards another location. And the kids wanted ice cream. And I thought, okay, I've seen a lot of videos. I know there's good ice cream in France. And when we went around to where the ice cream place was in the back, the line was so long. It's like, this is not going to work. So we started to walk out of France, and I just walked up to one of the cast members at one of the guest experience umbrellas, and I just asked, I said, my kids are looking for ice cream. Is there another good location? The line is not going to work for us in France. Where would you recommend we head to? And he said, okay, does it need to be like ice cream, or is anything fine? I said, anything's probably fine. And he said, okay, well, there was an ice cream cart. I think he said that there was an ice cream cart in Morocco, I think he said. I think it was Morocco. He said, or if you go down, there's the gelato in Italy. So I said, okay, we'll start to head that way. Thank you very much. And as we were heading down there, and we stopped as we were going through, and we ended up walking down to the, my boys took off to the side with my father who had come on that trip, and they waited off on the side in the shade, and I walked down to the gelato stand and got some different, just got chocolate. I can't remember what else was on the menu. I got them chocolate. I think I got myself one of those pistachio ice creams with the alcohol in it. But I got them some chocolates, brought that back to them first, and then I brought myself back down to the station to get my own ice cream and something for my dad. So you can ask. There's snacks all over the place. If somebody's looking for something, you should be able to find it someplace. What you can also do is there are many, many resources out there on good snacks in each park. Some of them it's down to each park. You can find YouTube videos on the best snacks. You can find websites that list them out. There are lots of great snack options if you're looking for something good, like a specific snack that you want as a go-to. Otherwise, if you're fine with just Mickey ice cream bars or some sort of ice cream like that, or the kind of like Italian ice style things, the carts are all over the place. Popcorn is another one you can find in most places. So you can just fill in with snacks if you really need to, if somebody needs something to be eating or they're going to have a meltdown. Tip number 8, bring snacks. If you don't like the options or you don't think you're going to want to keep paying for snacks in Disney, bring snacks with you. When I went to Disney with my family when I was younger, we were going for my youngest cousin's first trip down to Disney. And one of the things my aunt brought was a box of fruit snacks. They were intended for my cousin, thinking that she was going to want a snack. And actually, my uncle was the one who ate the most of them, I believe. Every now and then we get off a ride and he was a little bit hungry and looking for something, and he would just say, hey, do you have another pack of those fruit snacks? And he was just eating fruit snacks. They go for everybody. You can bring most things. You just have to watch out about the rules on how to bring food into the park. But things like trail mix, granola bars, fruit snacks, packaged things like that you don't need to refrigerate are probably the easiest. That trip, we also did bring sandwiches some of the days, I think, in a cooler with ice packs. But to make it easy, it might be best to bring just packaged items. Again, like the water, you probably, to save money, should try to bring them from home or purchase them outside the park so that they don't cost so much. There are also some snacks you can't get in the park if they're outside, so you might want to look to see if it's something, if there's a special snack that your kids really like, they love to eat it all the time, you might want to make sure you bring it because it may not exist inside of Disney. So you might want to watch out for that too. Tip number 9, try to be flexible. Your kids are going to kind of change the way things are going. You have to plan so far out in advance on when you're going to be eating, which park you're going to be going to, what rides you're going to want to do, where you're going to get your food. And your kids aren't going to go by your schedule, really. If they do, great. It worked great for you. I have found that they don't go by our plan. So we try to make our plan as flexible as possible so that we know that, okay, they're not hungry now. Let's cancel that lunch that's going to be coming up soon or see if we can move it or modify it and try to do something else. Fill in with another snack, or they're hungry now. Let's see if we can find something really small. They're not going to wait and get their money's worth from their sit-down meal. I have found that with my kids, when they're hungry and they're going to eat, and they're not going to stop eating until they're satisfied. So if that means they're going to eat a meal's worth of food for their snack time, and then they're not going to eat at their lunch, that's something that we have to try to be flexible about and try to either reschedule things or just plan for it as well as we can. They're going to do what they're going to do, and you have to kind of just roll with it if you can. So try to be as flexible as you can. Try to build that into your plan if you can. It can be tough. It can be a challenge. And sometimes things aren't going to work out the way you want. One of the things that actually worked out and was one of my favorite memories from our very first trip was everybody was tired. Nobody wanted to go back out to dinner. And we started to get ready. People were sleepy. We were supposed to have reservations in Animal Kingdom at the Tusker House. And we didn't think it was going to work. It was inside the 2 hours. But we were getting ready for the bus. We were all set. We were outside the bus, and it didn't seem like it was going well. But we were on our way. I think we stayed at the pool longer that day, if I remember correctly. But I called the number associated with it, and I said, "We're on our way. We're not going to make it in time. Is it possible to move the reservation?" I think I was able to see something on the My Disney Experience app that it looked like there was openings later in the day. So I think I was asking if there was any way we could move it to one of those, because we were headed to the park. We just weren't going to make our time. And you can't count on it. There's no guarantee they can do anything, but the person was excellent on the phone, and they just said, sure, no problem. What time works best? And we got one of the last times that was available for the Tusker House because the Animal Kingdom closes earlier. And so we went in, we still went over. Each boy took a turn falling asleep, either on the bus or on the Kilimanjaro Safari, which was the only thing we had time for when we got there before our dinner. And we got off the safari, went to dinner, and my youngest slept through most of the dinner in the stroller. But we had some great memories there. The food was really good. We really enjoyed our time. By the time we got out of dinner, the park was closed, so it was quiet and kind of empty, and it was just a nice stroll back to the buses before we were on our way out. It was a nice time. It started off crazy. We were all a little bit stressed, but we just tried to relax and do what we could. And we got our reservation moved, and everything worked out great. It's actually one of my favorite reasons for going there. Now the Tusker House is one of my favorite places to try to go. And a side story for that, they were really good there. My youngest slept in the stroller, and he woke up just about when everything was finishing up. I think we had actually already paid and got ready to go. And that's when he woke up and was hungry and wanted to eat. And we were trying to figure out, we were talking amongst ourselves, trying to figure out what we were going to do. And the staff just came over and said, oh, well, I mean, don't worry about it. There's nobody, I think we didn't realize that everything was closed and nobody else was coming in. They were just like, grab a plate, I'll go get some milk. He was mostly just drinking milk at the time. They went to go get him some milk. They said, go make a plate, grab some stuff, don't worry about it, just take your time. They were really nice. I think he ended up just having the milk anyway. I don't think he wanted anything else, but the staff there was wonderful, and it's why I recommend going back there. The next trip, we really wanted to go back. It just didn't fit into the schedule to go there on that next trip. But we're going to go there on the trip we're going on next. So I'm excited to go back there again. I really enjoyed it. I guess that kind of feeds into my last tip. And it's kind of a cop-out, and I'm sorry, but try to relax and enjoy it. There is so much stress involved in trying to plan a Disney vacation. And it's hard enough to do that. Plan out your rides, plan out your parks, plan out your dinners all beforehand before you get there. And then your kid's scared of the characters. Your kid doesn't want to go to that park. They want to sleep in. They just want to go to the pool. They want to do the water slide. And things change. Just try to enjoy it. Try to not stress about the parts that make it hard and that are going to be difficult. Try to just roll with it. Our first trip was tough. We were trying to handle too much with too much family. We needed to put more responsibility on the other family members to handle themselves. I think we tried to plan too much for everyone. We put it on our shoulders. As the people that went to Disney the most, we put it on ourselves to try to make sure everybody had a fun time. And we really should have focused only on ourselves and our kids and plan around that, and then add on what we could for everybody else. And if we weren't going to be able to do what they wanted to do, maybe we couldn't do that. Our second trip, when it was just us, we were able to focus on what our kids wanted to do and kind of plan around them. We knew it hadn't been too long since we had been there. We probably were going to be going back again. We like going to Disney. We didn't have the stress of trying to make sure we did everything. We knew they don't want to go on this ride this time, that's fine. They don't want to go over there and eat some favorite snack, that's fine. It's not a big deal. We were just going to enjoy it, make the memories of enjoying the things that we could. And we definitely have, I think, better memories of them enjoying more stuff from that second trip because we were able to focus on enjoying the moments that we had instead of stressing about making sure everything was perfect and everything went to schedule. So try to enjoy it, and try not to stress and just make fun memories. You don't want to be the reason that they're upset about the trip. You want to have them remembering the fun stuff too. And that'll make everybody look back at the trip that they had a good time and that they want to go again. And I know it can be tough too if you're planning you're going to go only one time or only one time for a long time and you don't know the next time you're going to get a chance to go and you're trying to fit everything in and you only have so many days and it can be very stressful. Try to figure out your priorities on the things that you want to have fun doing and try to focus on the good memories of being at Disney with your family, because it doesn't necessarily have to be a specific thing. It can just be having a great memory of them in the pool at the resort, or the ice cream they had outside of a certain ride, or the one ride they did that they really loved. One of my kids, all that they want to do is go on the Winnie the Pooh ride and the Dumbo ride. And no matter what we want to try to do for other things, that's all they're interested in. So that's where they're going to have fun. So we try to take pictures of them being excited on those rides and in those areas. It's just the way it goes right now. So do your best to try to relax, enjoy it, and try not to stress. So if you are planning a trip or you're going to Disney, I hope you have a lot of fun. I hope it works out really well. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you next time.